And we've got another thing that's very obviously come to light due to this election campaign, is we've shown ourselves incapable of conducting a proper election. Like the issues which I've raised, they're hard issues. They're hard issues. I won't make any apology for that. I haven't really minced my words in what I've said in the issues I've brought to light, but I would say they're all legitimate issues to bring up because they affect the very heart of how this party can even function. And to do that, if you do that, you're going to be slagged off. You're going to be slagged off a lot. That's just the nature of how politics is conducted within this party. And that's why no one else at the end of the day would step forward apart from me. I don't pretend I'm the ideal candidate to lead this party. I don't pretend. I'm not the sort of person who'd ever want to be chairman normally. Like if I was chairman, that's why I say I'll be chairman for a year, to sort the administrative problems out. So I'm not a big showman, charismatic showman type person. I'm not a big meter and greeter. I don't naturally go around talking to everyone in an audience and schmoozing with them and trying to be friendly with everybody. I'm not a very friendly person. It's just not me. That's not me. And if you're a long-term political leader, that is the sort of person you've got to be. But there is an enormous well of talent within this party that is suppressed. And without an overmighty leader, we'll find and reap the rewards of having this talent step forward. That is what will happen, for absolute sure. Now, in the Constitution, yeah, oh, that's the wrong bit. Anyway, in the Constitution, it says that a leadership challenger shall get people to sign his or her form. So we produced our form for people to sign, which is how the last two leadership elections were conducted. Clive, my campaign manager, Peter Phillips, who was suspended for supporting me a couple of... today? Was it today or yesterday? I lost track of days. Yesterday. He was suspended just because he's supporting me. This is the sort of thing that goes on as well. 6 people have been suspended so far over the last week for supporting me. That's the sort of, again, another indication of the type of party this is, and an indication of the unfitness we are, while we conduct our business in that way, to go anywhere near government, even local government. Clive Jefferson, in communication with Peter Phillips the other week, suggested that if we put through a letter, a request in writing to someone who had signed an officer registration form which had the Data Protection Act stuff in it, they'd supply us potentially with a list of members who are potential nominees so we can get our nomination signatures. Because they hadn't thought up their own scheme then. This was only about 2 weeks ago. Since then, they've dreamt up their own scheme whereby they send this out. So anyone who's a 2-year member here should have got this by now. Sorry? Haven't you? Well, ring up and get it. Ring the call centre up. Now, no election in this country do they send out nomination forms to all the people. If you want to stand for the council, do the council send a nomination form out to every elector in your borough? They don't, do they? No. Do they expect those electors to independently send their forms back to the council to nominate whoever might be wanting to stand? They don't. You've got to go and get them. That's how they're conducted in this party, the last 2 leadership elections. They want people to independently send their forms in the knowledge that most people, independently, 20% of people don't independently do very much. This is how it is. This the law of averages, I'm afraid. To make double sure of it, you know, in despotic regimes, they often try and pretend they're democratic. They run plebiscites or opinion polls, and they say, oh, do you want to confirm that the president for life will be president for another 50 years? And they win by 99.9% usually, don't they? Because they have leading questions on the ballot paper and no one dare write anything else. And it's just pretty much how this has been modelled on. Nick Griffin doesn't have to stand for election. sorry, doesn't have to get any nomination signatures. The nomination process is irrelevant to him because he hasn't got any nomination signatures. It's relevant to the likes of me or anyone else that wants to stand, but not relevant to him. But the first question is, I am content with Nick Griffin continuing as duly elected leader for a further year, and therefore do not wish to nominate an alternative. Now, most people, I think, did you say that, or did Richard say it? Most people go and just sign it and send it off. And most things that you get through the post, people return pretty much straight away. That's just another one of these things that I learnt of Jim Dowson. Jim Dowson knows a lot about direct mail operations and how human nature works. When most things that you get through the post, most returns you get back straight away. Then it's a dribs and drabs, because it's just how people are. Right? So most people will get this, they don't know anything's going on, and most will return it for Nick Griffin, because he's the only one there. Who knows about anything else? The leadership campaign nominations go on until the 10th of August. But through this means, they'll get most of their returns this next couple of days. The other thing about direct mail operations that I learned from Jim Dowson, because I did talk to him a lot. I actually got on reasonably well with him as a human being, as an individual. I got on with him quite a lot. I used to talk to him quite a lot about, partly to pick his brains about how these mail order things work, because, you know, I never saw him as a very permanent fixture. And you want to know how to do these things. You want to get rid of him so we're not paying him and get it all for ourselves to do these things. And when you do these operations, these things, you'll notice they should arrive on your doorstep on a Saturday, right? Because if they don't arrive on a Saturday and you're going to work, you get the mail, I can't be busy. But on a Saturday, people read their mail much more closely and they respond to it much more closely. Particularly things like this, which aren't pressing like a bill might be from the telephone or gas. So things like this, he always times it to land on the doorstep on a Saturday in the knowledge that you get a much, much higher return. And the further away you do it from a Saturday, the less return, because it lands on your mantelpiece and they don't look at it until Saturday. And if it arrives much before Saturday, there's other things on top with a pizza leaflet and a this, that and the other, and they chuck it in the bin and they forget about it. So when did this arrive? Monday. That's not a coincidence. That's not a coincidence. They don't want many of these back. The ones they do want back, they want to say Nick Griffin. It also says that if you don't fill every aspect of it in, it's void. Now there are things on there like email address or mobile telephone number. Now, if they've been picky, if you don't fill those bits in, they could declare it void because it's not all filled in. It doesn't say. Normally if you've got a form, it says which bits are mandatory and which bits aren't. It doesn't say. It just says if it's not all filled in, it's void. So they could potentially declare half of these things void if they wanted to as well.
Unless, of course, you vote for Nick.
Well, it doesn't matter if you vote for Nick on this, because the Nick thing on this doesn't matter. He's nominated anyway. The Nick thing on this is merely there to take potential people away who could nominate someone else. That's the only reason Nick's on there.